All right, we're on our last episode here. We're fixing to put the roof on this little puppy. Then we're going to print it out and see what our work has yielded us. Okay, up to now, we've just been extruding things. And all of this, our printer will think of this as one solid object. But if we did that with the roof, we would have to do every tile separately, and we're not going to do that. So let's start working with some layers now. We're going to make this, first of all, let's turn this into a group. Select the whole thing, put your lasso around the whole thing, right click, and go make group. All right. Now let's go over here to our, I don't know if you understand how your default tray works. You create a default tray over here, and you can tell it what to show. You know, your entities are in this. Now I've selected entity info, materials, and layers. Materials we won't use in this project, but that's just my default. But we will use entity info and we will use layers. So let's create a layer and call it house. Create a layer by hitting your plus button and then filling in the name of it. Now, that will now appear in your entity info in your layers palette. So assign this to house. Now you can check yourself. You can turn your house on and off. And this is why layers are so neat. You can turn things off to get it out of the way to work on something else. All right, so we now have the house one layer, and it will no longer stick to whatever I put on it. All of this other becomes sticky when you never make a layer or a group. Everything sticks together, and when you pull one thing, it pulls everything else with it. But now we can work separately. This will no longer stick to the shingles, or the shingles will not stick to the roof. Okay, let's create us a shingle. This is going to get exciting now. Now, what we want to do is take our rectangle tool and create us a rectangle that's going to be a shingle. Now, what I've determined is, as I've explained before, in the N-scale world, these things are so small, if you did it to absolute scale, and I've tried it, it looks like sandpaper on your roof. And you can even use sandpaper if that's what you want to do. But we're not going to do that. We're going to make it where you can sort of see a shingle, or hopefully, and you're still going to have to print at your printer's highest resolution for this to show. But we're going to make our shingle 2 millimeters by 4 millimeters. Now, in the real world, that would be a 1 by 2 shingle, 1 foot by 2 foot. Shingles don't come, they might come that big, but normally they don't. But we're also going to use a 0.3 gap. But we're actually going to go 4.1 because I did the math, and that makes it where on the other end we'll have a half shingle. We want to stagger our gap. That'll make it look better. All right, so let's type in. Remember, here's your information section window down here. We want to just simply type in 4.1 because your width is your first number, comma, 2. Hit enter, and now we have a shingle that is 4.1 by 2 millimeters. All right, now I want the front of this shingle to be 0.3 millimeters high, and I want the back to go down to 0. So watch how we do that. Take your pencil. Now, start your line and hit your up arrow, and that assures that you're on the up axis. And type in 0.3. Hit enter. Now, it's going to want to keep drawing, but let's don't do that. Let's hit your escape button. And let's go up again. Hit your up arrow just to ensure that you're on the up axis, on the blue axis. 0.3. Now we can bring that line across, and it'll snap to where the end of the other line was. Right now our blue axis is sort of in the way, but it also gives us a line-up point, so not all bad. All right. Let's reverse that face. I like for my faces to be white. Reverse face. See how that turns it another color? All right, now let's take our line tool, start on your corner, and go all, when you're on the right place, see how it makes that little circle back that sort of snaps in place? All right. Now, I need to reverse that face over there. We'll do it in a minute. All right, let's do the same thing over here. Let's reverse those faces. Right click, reverse face. All right, now do the same thing over here. This is not necessary, but I just, for whatever reason, I like to be able to reverse faces. Now, what we have is a roof tile, okay? Reverse that face too. Now, if I click 3 times in succession, 1, 2, 3, I can now right-click, make group, okay? Let's go over here and assign this. Let's create a layer called roof. Now, that will now appear in our layers group up here. We can prove we've got it by turning it off, okay? All right, now what we're going to do, as I said, we want a 0.3 millimeter gap right here. And in order to know where that is, remember we made this 4.1 wide. There was a method in that madness for using that number. Let's take our ruler, tape measure, and move it over 4.4. Add the 0.3 to the 4.1. All right, now that gives us our gap, okay? Now, this is why you use your comma as your delineator when you're putting in your dimensions, like an 8 by 12 or 8 by whatever for when you're drawing your rectangle or whatever. Because we're fixing to use, instead of having to draw this or copy this, we're going to have to go about 15 wide. Instead of having to do it 15 times, we can use, watch this. Let's select our group. Oh, I did make that a group, yes. Let me make sure. I did, okay. What we want to do is we want to move that, so we select it. Get our move tool. Now, notice my little move tool there. If I hit Control, see the little plus that goes at the bottom of that? All right. What will happen is I will move a copy. I will not move this. This will actually stay in place. But we grab that corner. Be sure you grab the corner. If you grab it in here, you'll never line it up. Grab your corner. Now, see, it picks up a copy of that. Now, I want that to... There's a point that is created by that line. See how it sort of snaps in there? That's where I want it to go. All right. Now, if I don't select any other tool, but I just type in times 15, what will happen is, okay, which is x15. Okay. What's going to happen when I hit enter is, boom, we're going to get 15 of them. All right. Now, what's important about having moved it with that gap, the times 15 included the gap. You got 15 gaps and you got 15 objects. Okay, now, look how neat this is. All the way across. Okay, now, well, we went one too many, so no big deal. Here's what we do. Go get your selection tool, click on that one and hit your delete. All right? But we need this one. Now, Anytime you make something a group, you have to click it twice in order to be able to edit it. Now, right now there's a setting. I left it like this to show you. There's a setting under View, and it's called Component Edit, where it says Hide Rest of the Model. When you edit that one part, it will hide the rest of the model, but we need to see the house to know how to size this. All right, so click that one time and our model comes back. All right. Now, what I want to do is I want to push. We can get our push-pull tool, and we can push this. See how I can size this? Use the side of your house, of your roof, as a reference. Just reach up and touch that, and it will snap to that length. Okay. Then left click again. All right, we now have a half tile. Okay? So what we want to do, get this thing flown into the right place. You probably already know this, but if you take your lasso, get your pointer tool. If you take your lasso, if you select from the left, it will only select what you have completely enclosed. Oh, I'll have to click off of that. All right, it will only select what you have completely enclosed in that lasso. It will not select the rest of the house. If you came from the right, anything you touch, any part that you touch, it will select that. So we don't want that. We want just this part right here. All right, now, all right, let me click off of that, because what we first want to do is we want to take this and we want to move a copy of it to right here. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Let's zoom in. All right. Because I want to be able to grab just that point. Let's get our move tool. Now hit your control key. You don't have to hold it, just hit it, and it puts that little plus on there, and that causes us to move a copy and not the item itself. All right. Now, this is where my space mouse comes in nice. I don't have to let that go. But if you go and get your pan tool or whatever, when you come back, you'll still be attached to this. Now, let me come in here close so you can see what's fixing to happen. We want to snap that corner to that corner, right? See how it sort of snaps in place? All right. Hit your left button again, and now we have a copy. Now, we want to go 3/10 to go to your, for whatever reason, it will not create a line. When you go from there, it will not create this line for you. You've got to start somewhere, snap it there. Now when you come out 0.3, because that's our gap. Now it comes in handy to know that little trick about, if you lasso from the left side, you have to enclose the entire object or it will not select it. All right, watch this. See how I'm touching those objects, but it only selects the ones that were completely in the lasso. Okay. Now let's go back over here. This is a little tedious right at first, but then it's going to get fun real quick after this. All right. You want to be sure and grab the corner. Go to your move tool, hit your control, because we want to move a copy. See how the little plus is on there now? We want to move a copy. And we want to move that copy to right there. See how it snapped in for me? All right. Now, see how our gap is staggered now? That's what we wanted. We didn't want that gap to be in one straight line. Now we can make copies of that to cover the rest. Make your lasso from the left-hand side, and that way only what is totally enclosed in that lasso will be selected. Now let's move to where you can see that corner, and we're going to move a copy. move tool, hit your control key. See the little plus? That means that we will move a copy and not the original. Okay, let's move it up so you can see it snap in place. We want it to snap right on that corner. Okay, now we can use our times command again. Let's try times 6 and see what happens. Now we hit enter. It covers the whole roof. But we're a little bit too much up here. If I have not done anything else, I can still change that. And let's just go times 5. All right. Now, see, as long as you don't move to another tool or something, you can keep, if you get your times wrong, you can do it again until you get it right. Now, we wanted to leave this little gap up here because what we're going to do is we're going to create this up here. Does not require a full piece. It does not require a full tile right in there. So what we want to do is, watch this. First of all, let's make a copy of this piece right here because we need to alternate which side the short piece goes on. Okay, let's take that, make a copy, and move it. So hit your move tool and hit control. Okay, until you see that little plus, you're not going to get a copy. You'll just move the piece. Now we've got to look in behind here. Let me zoom in because this is going to be delicate. We've got to get this point right here. You'll see why when I get to the other side. If you don't work on the points, you will never set it in the right place. But as long as you got that point, you want it to lock on that. See how it snaps in place on that little point right there? Okay. Now, we need a 0.3 gap. Let's take our dimension tool, our ruler tool, come over 0.3. Create that gap. Now, let's just simply copy this, and once again we're going to have to pick it. We want that point to hit right there. All right, so let's go get our move tool, hit your control key, get your little plus sign. See how there's a little plus sign there? Now grab that corner right there and put it right there. Okay, now we've got a little bit of doctoring that we've got to do. And this is why I didn't go ahead and make this enough layers to stick out and then delete the top one. Otherwise, you'd have had to doctor every one of those shingles. We're going to use some tricks here. What we have is a group here. In order to edit a group, you've got to double click it. All right, see what happens? Now we know we're in an edit box. Take your pencil tool and come right here. Go straight up. Hit your up arrow to make sure you're going straight up. And then click. You got a line. Now what? Now, because that creates an enclosed area, we can push that. Push it until it ends. Click. And that disappears. Okay, see how that worked? Now do the same thing right here. Pull in really close. Let's go get our selection tool. Select this one. 1, 2. Got to double click it. All right. Got to draw this line again. Start at the eave of your roof. See how I'm on the roof line right now? See that little X? That tells me I'm in that junction. Draw straight up. Hit your up arrow to ensure it's the blue axis. Make it. Now left click to end that. Now take your push pull tool and go to the other side. Click it. Now for whatever reason that's not wanting to disappear, just simply take your erase tool. Okay, let's make sure we didn't erase that. We did. All right. If that happens, take your draw tool and simply draw you a line anywhere, and it'll enclose again. All right. Let's reverse our face. All right. Now, what we have is we have a correct tile that we want to go the rest of the way. We need a gap. Have to have our gap in here. This takes a second, but believe me, it's better than having to fix every one of these tiles if we had made copies all the way across there. All right. This is really the only delicate part of the operation. All right, go 0.3. Now, we've established our gap. Let's go up here. Select. When you're moving or making copies, you do not have to do the double click. You only make the one click. All right. Now, what we want to do is we want to move that to right here. Hit your move tool and hit copy. Control. Now we'll move a copy of that. All right. See, it'll snap in place. Now, when you move it, we can hit our times button and go, let's just go times 15. So we'll have enough of them. Now we have all of them, see? When we come over here, we're probably going to have too many. And we do. But see, it worked out. All we've got to do now is go find your selector, click, delete, click, delete. Okay, now, look at this. We have one beautiful side. Now, right here, SketchUp takes care of this for us. If we look down in here, we'll see tiles, right? But that's irrelevant. But just that quick, we created that. Can you imagine how long it would have taken if we had drawn every one of those? I mean, you could do it, but oh my gosh. All right. Now, how about the other side? Now we're fixing, let's get rid of those delete lines. Go edit, delete guides, boom. All right. Now, this is, we want to select just the roof tiles, and we do that by starting on the left side and put a lasso around just, well, I didn't quite get that bottom one. You got to do it just right. All right. You want to enclose just the roof tiles, okay? Now, this is where it gets fun. Go up here. We've got to have a rotation point. Okay. And that is going to be this point right here. Let's get our rotate tool. Now, hit your up arrow. Just trust me on this. That causes your rotation to have to go around this way. All right. All right. You want to click that point, pull you out of line. All right. And click again. All right. Now watch what happens. Oh, and we want to rotate a copy, so hit your control bar. All right. You want that to go 90 degrees. I mean 180 degrees. See how it sort of snaps in place when you get to 180? All right, click again, left click again. Now we have that copy, but it's out here. Okay, what do we want to do? We want to move it, but this time we're not moving a copy. We're just moving the real deal. So let's hit our move, get off of our rotate, hit our move, grab that point right there. Let's come in so you can see. Grab that point right there. Left click once. Now let's go to the other side. And we want to make sure we're clicking on that point. Set it to that point. See how it sort of snaps in right there? Now, how long would that have taken us if we if we had to draw every one of those tiles? All right, let's click off of that. I mean, we have a roof. Look at that. Is that neat or what? Now, if you don't understand the times, copying a certain number of times and moving a copy rather than the original, you might want to watch this little part again. But that is how you do something when you have to do multiples of the same thing. You use your times. You make the move and then you type in times however many, and it will. For example, if you were making a stud wall and you wanted to make studs every 16 inches, once you establish that, for those of you that build, your distance between your first stud is a little different. But you go to the second and third stud, you can pop in however many studs 16 inches apart for however long the wall is, and you don't have to draw every one of them. But that's an important tool to know. But look at this. That's it. We're done. Let's admire our work here. Now, isn't that a neat little lodge hall? I mean, we are done. I'm guessing once you understand how to use SketchUp, and if I wasn't trying to explain to you how to do all of this, I could probably do this in an hour and a half, 2 hours. But the important thing is you can use any floor plan. And it doesn't have to be rectangle. It could be an L. It could be whatever you lay out. And then you just pull up that shape to however tall you want the building to be, and then make your roof system. And then you start decorating it. You start putting in doors and windows and chimneys and just whatever you can think of. And you can do it in any configuration you want. You can make the windows any size you want. I just tried to keep it simple so the explanation didn't go on forever. So I think I'll end this episode here, and we'll do one more episode, and I'll show you how I go about exporting and printing and all that kind of stuff, and we'll wind up with showing you some pictures of the final product. Thanks for watching.